voices be heard. Call us, text us. Kaieteur Radio 99.1, 99.5 FM. The Wake Up Guyana Show.
Hello, what you doing there?
Shh.
Why you there peeping in we neighbor bedroom window, girl?
Shh. I trying to see is what brand of diapers they using. Kaieteur lent me a couple the other day and it work real good. It ain't leaking, it ain't brand of baby belly, it holds enough pee. He ain't get no rash after a long time. It just proper.
Y'all, it's sleepy sensitive diaper. And it has come in a purple pack.
How you know?
The diaper good for truth. I simply ask you.
Oh.
But wait, it's why we whispering. You realize they can't hear we from till over there?
Oh.
Sleepy for mommies who look for the best.
Yes, good afternoon. Welcome once again to the Wake Up Guyana Show. Before we start and we get things on the road today, my sincerest apologies. Very unusual time. Did not really, was not up to it today. Got up and didn't feel so well. I got myself medicated and I said I have to come. Cannot make it the first time that I'm going to be missing you guys. There was one time during the vacation that I took the time off for one day, but we did apologize in advance for that. But this would have been the first day that we really late by a couple of minutes, let's say about 50 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes thereabouts. But I want to apologize to you people. You see, we have a relationship and I cannot throw that relationship through the window or crush it into the ground because I do look forward every single day to meeting with you people, to talking with you, to hearing those concerns being voiced and raised so we could find resolutions. On the Wake Up Guyana show, it is your show, and it's always a pleasure and honor to be on this particular show every single day on the radio station, reaching out. It's not so much about what comes along with the territory, but it's about really trying to help the people of Guyana to see whether we could improve where we're at. So let's get right down into it. At just about 2 o'clock there, about Dr. Yog Mahadio is going to be in the house. He says he has some other things pressing, so we're going to be preparing for that. So we want to open the lines, make sure that we get a couple of calls in. We could talk a little about what the people are raising. But there are a couple of things that we should bring to your attention before we head straight into the newspaper today. And then we are going to open the lines until Dr. Yog joins us. So what is it that we need to talk about today? Minister versus ex-minister. There is an apology. There were some accusations, apology, threats of a lawsuit. In fact, letters were sent. Then the minister goes on Facebook and says, I want to apologize if you withdraw your lawsuit. So I'm going to tell you a little bit that in a very short while. I'm not, and the stress is not upon the word short at this time. He happens to be a friend of mine also. Christmas songs, you would have heard a little Christmas song playing there. And I'm really, really happy, looking forward to Christmas every single year. This year it's a whole different ball game, but we are going to be looking forward to see what happens this year with regards to Christmas and how we're going to celebrate it, because we know pandemic upon us, and then it wasn't such a good year with elections and everything and what's happening across the globe. Is it going to be something that we can look forward to less some of the things that we're accustomed to every year? You know, we'd be accustomed to garlic, pork, beef. Do we have the money for that? What kind of Christmas is it going to be? Well, we're not sure yet. So what I could tell you, we do happen to have good people in this country who make do of what they have. We are quiet people, We're comfortable people, and we are going to make the much of what we have this year. So hearing the Christmas songs, it's a very good thing. Not too long ago, coming through Lombard Street, headed into Lombard Street from where the Guyana National Printers Limited is located along the Lepentons area there. You have to turn there if you're coming along the East Bank to head to Georgetown onto Lombard Street, and it was a bottleneck because when you turn through to that area there, there were a lot of vehicles parked heading into the shipping's compound and so on. Well, what the police did is put no parking signs on the roadway there, and they're charging you if they find you illegally parking. So that's a good thing. It has really helped the traffic situation, traffic flow. If it is that the commissioner of police came up with that, or it's the Ministry of Home Affairs, whoever it is, very good idea. We can't have congestion by a few people who are holding this country to ransom because of their selfish ways of doing things. And so Christmas songs, Lombard Street, Minister Voices, Minister. What's it that we need to do today? Thank you for joining in us here on the Wake Up Guyana Show. I'm your host, Leonard Gildarie, and you are tuned into the Wake Up Guyana Show here on Kaieteur Radio. We're coming to you live on 99.1 in Esquibin, Demerara, and if you're crossing Berbice, wonderful folks of Berbice as well. We are coming to you live on 99.5 FM. You could get us on that. Also, we're streaming to you live on Kaieteur News Online. That's one. Two, Facebook. It's Kaieteur Radio on Facebook or Kaieteur Radio live stream on YouTube. We headed straight into our favorite newspaper now, Guyana's largest selling newspaper. 15-year-old shot dead. Tragic end to 8 years of friendship, and this is a situation I don't even want to go back there. And you could recall it was yesterday we carried the news what would have happened a few hours earlier in Kitty. One boy, a teen, 15, went over to sleep by his friend, and they played with a gun, and the gun went off. At the end of it, the little boy who allegedly shot accidentally ended up running away with his mom. They disappeared for a few hours. He is in custody at the moment. That's the latest story that I have. The 15-year-old is dead. So there's a shocker come, gun crimes, gun accidents. It's not something that you play with. There's a lot of, how much do we go forward teaching our children about what is good and what is not good. We can look back at it and maybe we could blame somebody, but at the end of the day, we still have to continue the agitation to make sure that our children and everybody knows that when you play with fire, you are going to get burnt. And so in this particular case, it's very tragic. This thing really, really hurts me. My kids are not too far away from those age group, 15, 17. And it is not easy for a parent to put a child down, to have a funeral, to say, could I have done it better? Not an easy thing. I before an international investigation into oil blocks award, and this is former Natural Resources Raphael Trotman. The sad thing about this is that Mr. Trotman, whom I know well and would have spoken to during interviews leading up during the previous government, leading up to their elections in 2015, which they won, and then leading up to 2020. During the 2020, those 5 years, they had a wonderful opportunity to launch investigation. However, it is good to hear this call, but when we look back at it, you had a wonderful opportunity, and then you were the one that helped sign this deal here too. So we can't let you off the hook on that. Technology to monitor Exxon's operations to be up by September 2021. No cost mentioned. So they are running a fiber optic cable that is going to land here, and so we can monitor what's happening on our FPSOs, those ships that are those vessels that are drilling, storing oil offshore Guyana. And so AG filed summons to strike out elections. Petition overturned dorm students let test positive for COVID-19 since reopening of school. This is a situation, government would not be very happy about. We would have we've been hoping that all the necessary precautions in place. The government is probably trying to experiment with some kind of system that you're not going to have kids staying home. But it looks as if we are going to see some casualties. When I say casualties, not morbid figures there, but there are going to be infections, and we know some teachers and students in Bartica already. President's College there, and a couple of places around, But 30 dorm students test positive. This is not good news. Do we close school? Do we open it? What do we do at this point in time? That is a question, because you can't have the children stay home forever. But in the absence of the internet to all, in the absence of school not being reopened, this morning I can tell you that the kids, if there's something going on at Bishop School, do we know the children from Bishop School? Do we know what's happening there? I'm being told that there's some kind of industrial action or something. Very quietly, they're talking about it. There's going to be a meeting of the PTA this afternoon, but it is putting to the sword the Ministry of Education and the government by extension for the school situation. It is going to be a major challenge for this government. What kind of model are we going to have going forward with this country education pandemic? Because the pandemic, it's been projected, it's not going to see a dropping of the figures before, let's say, June, July next year. Angola's state oil company made no money from oil in 2019 as debt bites. Dubai Royal in Guyana on oil business. So we're going to talk a little bit that. There's an interesting story there. Dubai Royal. You must. I think I can't remember his name, but he is one of the richest men in the world, and you would have known that what Dubai has become with all the tall skyscrapers and the kind of economy that they built. And this guy here was one of the figures that would have built Dubai. He's in Guyana. Guyana is a very sexy woman at the moment, with all due respect to ladies out there. And everybody is running here. They want a piece. They want a piece of this country. And so they're going to come here. How do we go about sharing out this? How do we go about making sure that we get a good return on our business? Sexy Guyana then would have to play the role. The government of the day would have to ensure that it chooses very carefully. One, the husband it's going to get, or the boyfriend that it's going to get. And these are not good analogies, but I just put it to you there so you can understand that Guyana has the opportunity. It's being wooed by several international investors at the moment right across the world. And so it has to be very careful how it chooses those persons who want to come in and live with us in our country. They want to have a marriage with our country. How do we choose them? What kind of arrangements do they bring? Dowry? I think you know what we're talking about here. Government eggs on silent on Kaieteur block discovery made at least 3 days ago, and this is an interesting case. We are going to be paying attention to. They made a strike in the Exxon block, the Kaieteur block. One of the blocks being accused of being given away, and it's not commercial in its value, but Exxon has remained very quiet about this entire thing. To talk, to tell Guyana what the situation is. World Bank approved $26 billion loan targeting East Coast drainage flood preparedness. And $26 billion, there's over $5 billion. And what they're going to do is strengthen up the structures along the east coast of Demerara there in the East Demerara Water Conservancy. They are going to do a study as flood preparedness, and this is good news for Guyana when we're going about. But we got to be very careful. So it says Highness Sheikh Ahmed, let me see what his name, Dalmuk Juma Al Maktoum. I hope I'm pronouncing it there, and he is here. He was one of the architects into what you see in Dubai there at the moment. Flew in on his personal plane, come to Guyana, and they are looking for business here. Let me see, Region 3. Region 3 ranks complete training in noise management. This is something good, because when you're there, they should people complain all the time about noise nuisance. It should be happening to police ranks all across the country. When you go into area, come with the equipment. Are you playing it too loud? Are you disturbing the neighbors? Charges. Do we happen to hear that? When you come into the place, do not wait. Just put charges on the people. Let people start understanding that it's a serious business. Bar teen, drinking pipe, slapping more charge. Let's see what goes on here. Small Business Bureau. I would never do anything to hurt Auntie Shakila. More story that's happening in court right now. And so let me very quickly give you the COVID-19 dashboard. Number of confirmed cases in Guyana is 4,976. We went to almost 5,000 cases in Guyana since March here right now. Number of new cases, 62. Number of persons COVID-19 ICU, 7. Total confirmed cases by gender, we have 2,597. Confirmed cases by gender female, 2,379. Number of persons in institution 104. Home isolation 757. Confirmed case, recovered cases 3,965. Almost 4,000 persons recovered there. Number of deaths 143. Unfortunately, there. And tested positive for COVID-19. Tested positive rather. Number of persons tested for COVID-19, 26,226. So those are the big stories that is coming out of the Kaieteur newspaper today. The Kaieteur News, get your copy every day, or you can read it online, Kaieteur News online. So let us talk a little about, we are going to be pausing here because I need to tell you a little about some possibilities with insurance. And you know, as you look in, as you look to protect yourself, you got to start thinking, what happens if there's a fire? I want to ensure that I have proper car insurance. What happens with your life insurance? And CARICOM Insurance Company is saying that you don't have to worry. You could drive happy. Switch your insurance today and save big. Feel secure using CARICOM General Insurance Company Inc. at 121 Regent and Ornock Street. To better serve you, you can now purchase your insurance online from the comfort of your home. Telephone 225-1787 or 269-0020. CARICOM General Insurance Company Inc. And so let me tell you a little about what one minister would have been saying to the other minister and what that minister said. So you can recall a few days back, it was there's a big quarrel over these bank lands. The government is investigating these bank lands and East Coast lands there and the Wales lands and so on with the term giveaways on the questionable circumstances by NISIL. They would have fired NISIL head Calvin Heath London, and they're looking to do an investigation against him as well as the former finance minister Winston Jordan. And so you have Jaipal Sharma, former minister within the Ministry of Public Works, Public Infrastructure rather, at a point in time, would have come out on his Facebook page and castigated or accused the current Attorney General Anna Nandal of having his law firm benefiting from these land deals, from land deals and so on, by work that they would have done. Anna Nandal called Jaipal Sharma, according to the reports that came out, and asked him if it was his Facebook page and why is he doing that. So there was a back and forth between them, and Nandal, as Attorney General, then sent a letter to a lawyer's letter to Jaipal Sharma, asking for $100 million between him and James Bond, an attorney at law that is affiliated with the People's National Congress Reform. It's part of the coalition, the government coalition then. And so today, it is that Jaipal Sharma has come out and he has a very strange statement. So I'm going to just read it to you and leave it there so you could understand, draw some conclusions. My family called me. This is Jaipal Sharma today on a Facebook post on his page. My family called a meeting and the consensus was that I apologize to the Attorney General Minister of Legal Affairs of Guyana, Mohammed A. Nandlal, on Facebook, and to close my Facebook account. My family also, they're concerned for my safety and they don't want a die-hard Christmas but a Merry Christmas. I had to agree with them since I was outnumbered and since I believe in democracy. I therefore issue an apology to the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs of Guyana, Mohammed A. Nandlal, and this is Mohabir A. Nandlal. In addition, I will close my Facebook account for 5 days of this post, during which period I make no posts about the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs of Guyana, Mohabir A. Nandlal, if he discontinue with his legal action against me. So here, there's a couple of things here. He says he's going to close his Facebook, and he says he's not going to post. But if you close the Facebook page, you can't post, so that's obvious. But he's saying, I'm going to close my Facebook. There's going to be no post against you. But the minister cannot continue with this legal action against me. I leave it with you, dear. We're not going to say anything else, but let me tell you that you could get on to us on 6222222. You could send your text messages to that right now because we are going to start engaging you right now. 226-7453 is the number that you're going to call us, and the lines are open now. It is Friday, November the 20th, 2020. We coming down quickly, rapidly to the end of the year. Let's see what happens here. So wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, wherever you're joining us from, I want to say good day to you. It is a beautiful day out there. I haven't seen the sky so blue for a very long time. Lots of sun and the breeze blowing. Beautiful day. I'm glad to be alive. I'm glad to be with you guys. I was not feeling so well. I wanted to sleep a little more, but I have my duty to do. Duties rather to tend to, and so I'm here, albeit a few minutes late. And so we are going to be engaging you. I see my compadre in the studio here has his hoodie on, and he feels cold. He takes off the AC so I could feel hot, and then he puts on his hoodie because he feels cold. But you know, body temperature, it's a bad thing. I get very hot very quickly. Could you tell us if there's a call-in line, sir? Yes, there's a call-in line. Good afternoon, caller. No, we missed that caller there. So in the meantime, we are going to be headed into our, let's see what are some of the messages that are coming from our people today. Yes, there's already one. Good day, Lenny. The NDC Perica Mora, they clean the trench and throw the stuff on the road edge. While the NDC have a tractor trailer, we go back to the 90s. Thank you very much. And this is a madness that we see, and that when you clean, you have to remove it. Do not leave it there. Do not leave it for the people to be walking. Do not leave it for it to be in front of the people yard. It's not only does not look good, but I'm sure that's part of a contract. That's not part of the contract. Let me see. There are some messages already coming in here. Sir, good day to you. Yes, good day to you and your boss. Sir, today I wish to talk about the laws of cruelty to animals in care. Sir, lots of people only have dogs as protection for their homes and assets. Sir, how much are we doing in return? Ask ourselves when last we bathe our dogs, feed our dogs, or change the water from the bowl, if any. Sir, for long I've been hearing about the laws for protection of cruelty to animals. My question, sir, is it enforced? Are the inspectors visiting home, etc.? Sir, it would be great if you can speak on your program for those poor dogs that don't have a voice. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to be bringing back some animal protection activists onto the program. I know a couple of them. And I hear with you because I happen to have 3 dogs, 3 of those small dachshund, the short-foot ones, you know, that one. And I love those dogs like crazy. I see them, I talk to them, and I could swear to you that they're probably talking back too. They look a little funny. If anybody comes into the yard, they're very, very protective. And if anything happens to one of them, it hurts me, you know. If I see a little cut, I see them looking a little funny, they're not walking right, or they look a listless, or so they're not full of energy. I worry. We call the vet from time to time. I spend a lot of money in that, money that I don't have. But I hear what you say, and I'm going to be bringing in maybe some animal activist folks, and maybe they could tell us a little about the laws, because they're very familiar with those things. So thank you very much for that. In the meantime, I'm watching and listening from my radio every day. Keep up the good job. Hi, Leonard. I love my government. I hope they open their eyes and look at the people who are sitting in the chairs comfortable and doing nothing. You have a blessed day, safe. Thank you very much, sir, wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing. Thank you very much for that. Do we have a caller in line? Yes, good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gildarie. How are you?
Good afternoon, man. Tell me.
This is Councillor McDougall again.
Hi, how are you doing?
No, I good. Now, 2 things. First thing, the little boy that shot the other one.
Oh, man.
We were talking about earlier. You got to expect a lot more of that, because in Guyana, people who have guns have no training. I remigrated and came back with one of those proposals with ex-President Ramutar to open a firing range and a repair shop at my land here in quarantine. It wasn't until I got back here that Ramutar dumped me with the ID and tell me I can't do that. It's only the police and the army could do firearm repairs and stuff like that. So expect enough more gun killings with people who don't have skills. People own gun and they can't go and shoot nowhere because they ain't got nowhere to go shoot and they don't have skills. The other thing I want to talk to you about. I know you can't help this situation here. Yesterday I went to court. And it was an assault on me in the boardroom at the PMJ NDC, where the chairman hired somebody to come and assault me to get me out of the boardroom.
Allegedly hired.
No, he hired him. This is not alleged.
No, the matter is before the court in the moment.
It's
I don't
in
know
the court.
that.
You know about it, right? Yesterday I went to court, and the attorney for the
we're not really supposed to be discussing that. The matter
no,
is before
I'm
the court.
discussing the court. I'm discussing the matter.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to show the country what kind of court we have. The prosecutor is supposed to defend me. And after the attorney had the defendant in his box talking his story, when the magistrate asked the prosecutors if they have anything to say to rebut or whatever, the prosecutor get up. This is at Wim Court. And throw up your hand and say, I don't have anything to say. I don't know what to say. The other person sitting on exception, another policeman, who is a co-prosecutor, she looked in her cheek and she told me, you know what to tell you? Point I'm making in this is where we are in this country. As persons going to court, things that could affect our lives. And we got prosecutors sitting on the side there who are total dummies. What are we supposed to do in a country like this? When I spoke to a certain attorney, they said to me, Oren, this is what we got to face until we could put proper people as prosecutors in the courts to prosecute matters. We're going to have to face the fact that you could definitely lose a case and then have to appeal it because the prosecutor did nothing. I have about 10 questions I could have put to the prosecutor to rebut. The court said, no, you can't say anything. The prosecutor got up and said, fine. And the prosecutor got up and said, I don't know what to say. I don't have anything to rebut. And the other one saying, I don't know what to tell you. That's the representation I have. That's the representation people in.
I could comment on that. I could comment on it. I used to cover court, so I could give you my own perspective on that. All right. Back in when it first started as a reporter for the newspapers, I started working as a stockbroker a couple of years back, and that's where I cut my teeth into the media. One of the things that always baffled me or bothered me was that we were using police ranks for prosecutors. Now, I, with all due respect, there were some very good prosecutors that came up and became lawyers after that.
Yeah.
But when you take somebody out of training school almost just a couple of years and thing, and then you give them a couple of courses and expect them to go to court. If you see the number of cases that these people get, and you remember these are not lawyers, right? They're not full-fledged lawyers. So what you do, you go to court and you're there, you're coming up against a lawyer and so on. My point is that they're absolutely unprepared. With all due respect to, there are a few exceptional ones that I could count on my fingers that became really good lawyers.
I agree.
But I don't think the model that we've been using of using police ranks or police officers as prosecutors within the court system is the right formula. I don't believe that. I think, and then I could fast forward and bring you another side of the picture too. In some cases, the government is forced to hire lawyers as special prosecutors. And in this case, the DPP has to come, like in this particular case with the elections cases, they were forced to hire Sanjeev Dattanen and a couple of the others as special prosecutors, where the DPP would step in and have to give them special powers. I think fiat, I think they call it under the laws. But the point is that I understand what you're saying, I agree with you. They need to really look back if you really want to raise the level. Like in the United States of America, they are special, I think it's the Attorney General Office, and there's the DA, the district attorneys, and so on. These are specialized fields. These are people who would have had degrees and all those kind of things, would have had years of service. And before you could even start prosecuting people in court, you got to make sure you get a couple of years of studying the district attorneys and so on. That is my little knowledge that I have here, so I understand. If you want to lift the level in Guyana, you would have to start looking in that direction.
Yeah, that to me, Mr. Gildarie, is justice denied. Totally justice denied, because no, my case stands in a limbo. I could possibly lose it, and lose it for what? Because of the ineffectiveness of persons in the prosecutor section that the DPP is using as prosecutors. You know, it's ridiculous.
But you got to start, people like you got to start, who would feel it. I mean, wait until the case is finished and start writing about these things because, yes, you have raised something there that is, I think, is a situation that we need to look at. It's obvious because when you look at the number of cases that are before the courts, and some of them would last some months and months, because you would see people being charged, and the minute that you turn up in court, the attorneys are quarreling. You're not ready yet with statements, and you not think 2-3 weeks pass, you come back.
Yes.
I'm not ready yet, your magistrate. I'm not ready yet to proceed with this case because my case jacket is not ready yet. If you pay a man $100,000 or $200,000, whatever it is that the police ranks are getting paid, and you expect them to defend the state, you're gonna get those kind of crappy.
Yes.
And I use the word crappy. That's very lightly here.
Yes,
You're gonna
indeed.
get those kind of representations. I understand what you're saying. It's a very good point. It's a conversation that we have to have in this country.
Indeed, the DPP and the Attorney General need to look into this, where proper justice being served is not being served. It's denied because you got a total, as you said, an apprentice coming out of training school against a seasoned attorney. There
hear
is
you.
no competition. The person who is the VC will definitely come up as a last. You know, and that might be an unfair decision. Now, that decision now will have to be going to the High Court to be appealed when it could have done right there in the court if proper information was divulged. But now we got to go to appeal. This is on condition that it goes the other way.
Thank you
But
very
it's
much.
unfair.
I thank you. Just one other question. I know that you are one of the counselors for the Port Morant NDC there.
Yes.
I mean, one of the questions that I have to ask you, with all due respect to the overseer that was fired, because I believe there's 2 and 3 sides to every story, and the matter should go to the police and let them continue to investigate. One of the big things that we talk about here every single day is the weaknesses that we see manifesting from the local government organs like the NDC, the RDC, and the City Council. I want to ask you whether they're big weaknesses that you would have seen in the system that we have right now with regards to the capacity, and these are big words here, capacity of our regional representatives at the level of the NDCs. My question to you, really, what I really want to ask, do you believe that we should be asking that our councillors who are asking to be elected, that they should have certain qualifications and so on?
Mr. Gildarie, 100% I'm glad you asked that question. I'm going to answer it in a précis form. First thing, the weaknesses of a council comes because of political interference. Political interference meaning that the 2 major parties are the contestants for the local government elections, and that should be totally not happening. Because of the politics and the politicians and the political parties involved, that's where a lot of negative comes down in the boardrooms, where one side will want to contest the other one and the other one don't want to contest the other one. It's all about looking good and all about keeping the other one down. Meanwhile, the people are suffering. The weakness, if you were to ask that's the question of the NDCs, is within, from the chairman down on his side of the council, because especially in Port Morant, I could speak for, 99% of the decisions being made there has to come back from the party, which means the chairman has to consult with the party organ on issues, and then they're going to advise, and then whatever decision the party makes, the council goes with, or the chairman goes with. That's called political directives. That's what happens in my NDC. Me being the only independent person within 18 PPP persons, which is 18 of us, 17 against me alone. That is where the strength of that council is, where I am not having anybody to tell me what to do and what not to do. Once I know it's the right thing and the true thing to do, I bring it out. I don't have to go through protocols to go to anybody to ask what to do and how to do this. So the weakness, Mr. Gildarie, is in the political interference or the political affiliation of the NDCs. The NDC is not supposed to be political. It has nothing to do with politics. It's supposed to be people within a community that vote for the best person that lives within that community to do for them. It is not political. It is only because the political parties contest each other that it has become political. It has nothing to do with politics. But this thing has gone in a way where the politicians and the political parties has destroyed local governance.
And you're right.
Local
And
governance.
we will have to continue this conversation. But let me tell you this:
Yeah.
you would have seen, and we would have known in Guyana here. I remember reporting on it. You have regions because of the fact they don't want the government of the day to look good. So what do? They send back the money at the end that they had budgeted at the end of the year
Yes.
to the government because we
Yes.
don't want to spend it on projects because we
Yes.
don't want you to look good.
Ah,
You imagine
right, there
such
you go.
stupidity?
Yes. That is where the political interference comes in, which is totally unfair to the residents.
We got to stop this nonsense, and we got to say, I've taken this on because I realize that, you know what, it's not so much, sometimes it's not so much the central government, maybe it's not the cabinet of the ministers. You have a couple of people that's on the road, the supervisors, I call them the supervisors and the foremen, that is on the road there, that are not turning up to the job, one. They're in the rum shop, two. They decide what is right and wrong, and then it not necessarily reflect what is it that the government wants.
Let me cut you right there, Mr. Gildarie. And that is the second part of your question, if there should be some sort of qualifications. And that's what you're talking about, some people who are not educated, not qualified, that are in rum shops, and they're just knocking around. Yes, there should be a level of education within councillors, and I had moved this argument, but nobody answered me within the government, this administration, that persons vying to become councillors should have their names taken to GCOM and let GCOM adequately verify that these persons are of a certain caliber in education and standings in the community before they're authorized to become councillors. Now, when the elections are done, then the parties would know which names that were eliminated from their list based on their education level and their caliber, their status. That is something that is needs to be done with their local government elections. Where imagine you got people who can't sign, who can't read and write, who got thumbprints going on letters, running or working in an NDC, making decisions for people of higher caliber lives in the community. Imagine that. Imagine you got dummies, let's say it straight as it is. You got dummies making policy for people of caliber within the community. Educated people, headmasters, lawyers, whoever lives in the community. These dummies making decisions for them. So yes, you have a very, very valid question there where should there be a level of education or qualification? Yes, they should start doing that. Once you below, like I would want to say, a fourth form. Well, my days back in school, it used to be fourth form, third form, whatever, right? You would identify a fourth former. Below that, no, you cannot become a councillor.
Thank you very much, dear Mr. McDougall, and he is a councillor in the Port Morency area there. As always, you've come forward with some very good points, and I will look forward to having to engage you on some other issues there too.
Anytime, Mr. Gildarie, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Just call me up.
Yes, thank you very much. And the gentleman is so very, very right there when it comes to our areas, even within our court, several issues there. The court issue, we have to look into that because when you see all those backlogs happening in the magistrates' courts and so on, it has a lot to do with our commitment, our expertise, the preparedness of the prosecutors. You would go into court and you would see lawyers making rings and rings around the prosecutor, and the couple conclusions that you would want to make is either the prosecutors are totally inadequate or somebody took a bribe. And I always say that because there's no way that you would want to be a prosecutor and be so woefully inadequate in your capacity and so on as a prosecutor. It's either you want to remain at that state or you have taken a bribe, and there's no other explanation for it. I mean, logically, I like to think logically and sequentially along these areas when you look at it. But it's a very good point with the prosecutors, and two, with regards to our councillors in the various areas. It may be a situation where we'd have to debate it a little as to whether we ask them to be qualified, because if you don't know how to read and write and things like that, are you going to make good decisions? Are you going to do what is necessary? Maybe yes, because if you have the interest of the community in at your heart. So it is an issue that really needs to be discussed. Maybe we need to set some minimum standards when people want to ask to go into as counselors and so on. You don't have to get a full-fledged education, but do you have what it takes? Do you happen to have a good background that maybe you don't have a police record or anything? Do we need to ask for that? These are some things that we really need to talk about, because we need to build capacity. We need practical people. We need people who have the qualifications, maybe experience, if you want to look, experience qualification. So thank you very much for that. In the meantime, it's 1:54 now. Let's go to some messages very, very quickly. Um, what do we have here? Um, Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Leonard. I am from Supanam, Escobar Coast. I'm a diabetic patient at Saudi Hospital. I went there yesterday for clinic, no insulin. I did not receive the hospital. I don't have any from the hospital. I don't have any for the months now. It does not make sense. I cannot go get my treatment. It's difficult because it's $800 from Supanam to Saudi and return. If you go there, no drugs. I have to go buy again. Please, I'm asking, see if you could help us here. Thank you very much. I am going to make note of this right away. Whenever I get these things, I send it. Dr. Vishnu Mahadio would normally assist us with this. So I'm going to send this right again to myself, and then send it, let me see, Leonard. 1 second, folks. Trying to do some multitasking here. All right, good. See? Okay, good. So thank you very much for that. I'm going to look into it, ma'am. So let me see. Let me see here. Do we have a caller in line in the meantime? Yes. Good afternoon, caller. You're in the air. Go right ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, my brother.
Thank you very much. So how are you doing?
Well, not bad, my brother. What about you? I hear you say come late.
I came late, like about 10 minutes. That's never really happened before.
Well, sorry, you can't be accurate all the time.
Oh, well, you see.
I will. I will sympathize with you because I know you, man, who want to stay out late.
No. You got to be very disciplined. This is
no
work.
matter what you try, what to
Yes.
happen, got to happen.
Yeah. Tell me, man, what's bothering you?
Yeah, but you hear you said about the fiber optic cable to the
To the ship. What is going to happen? Yeah, and you're familiar what is going to happen there. In places, I think it's Saudi Arabia and so on, you have like the rulers of that land there, that place there, like the kings or whoever it is in charge, the rulers. They have a control room in their office or wherever it is that they normally rule from. And they could look at a monitor, know what is happening at the Guyana gas station down there, how they pump in the fuel and so on and so forth. And every drop that is there, they're able to see firsthand live what is happening. So I think the whole idea is that we're going to have cameras on these FPSOs, these drilling areas there, out there, and how they're pumping up our oil. We are going to be able to see it live. Now, who's going to see it? Is it going to be in the president's office? Is it going to be in GRA, which is going to be the one monitoring? We'd have to see. But your comment, sir?
Yes, sir. The point is that you don't have nothing there. Why are you putting up camera? The things belongs to the people. When you get 18 million US dollar for, what you call it?
It's a sign-in bonus.
Sign-in bonus.
Right.
You know, like I say, I gave you my property then. And you so happy, you know, that you get this agreement, that you get a property and you give me a bonus. You know, for let me feel nice that I get 18 million US, you know, because you get a free property.
Right.
Now that fiber optic cable wouldn't bring any sense because the agreement that these people have, right, sir, that any dons could tell you that they don't have nothing matters to the Guyanese government or the Guyanese people.
I don't so agree with you. I tell you why.
Okay.
You know you already have an agreement with the Guyanese people have been shafted or screwed, whatever it is you want to, whatever word you want to use in that.
Yeah, all right.
But you have some oil that you pump in there. Every leasing, what we found, I think what is being reported, and I'm reading it word for word, everything. Every little way that they find that they could dig it up in you, they do that. They do that. So the only thing that you could probably, at this point in time, try to protect is that make sure that whatever you're pumping up there, if it is 2 billion barrels or 100,000 barrels per day, That is what I'm seeing because I'm going to be looking at the counter. There's other cameras. There's going to be how much ships pull alongside there. Now, I'm not saying that there ain't things that you could do that is going to probably tamper with the video feed that you're getting. But it's the beginning. You have to have an idea because if let's say right about now, what do we have to deal with? We have to take out the GRA people out there, whoever's flying out there. Now, I'm not saying Exxon is doing that. Let's say somebody decide to put a little $10,000 in their hands, 10,000 US, and say you will have some spending money, and instead of he recording. Two ships that left today. He record one ship. Where the other ship go to? So it's the beginning. It might not be able to solve all the issues, but I do believe that we should have eyes on that ship.
Yeah, but the eyes no make no sense, my brother.
Uh-huh.
My brother, the eyes no make no sense according to the agreement. If you have to get 1 barrel from a million barrel, I just say something.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you're going to get?
No, but the whole idea why you don't want eyes there. Who is if they tell you that the capacity of the thing is 100,000, but they bring up 80,000 today? How you know they bring up 100,000 or 120,000?
Yeah, lad, I know.
That is the point. That is what I'm saying.
But you know, when the people in my tribe come into this country for make settlement now, like for live in this country, imagine the foreigner there might be more than the Guyanese people, and they will get the opportunity.
But that's the whole point. That's what we're saying. What happened to your local people?
Yeah,
How come? Why is it that you know the people come in and they invest here? You want to invest in your shop. Let me say whatever it is. You come back in this country. You want to put up a little shop. Do you have any kind of incentives that you get in there? But a man comes in the country. He said he doing this, and you give him a big 4x4, a Lexus vehicle. To whatever it is, all duty free. But you try to buy a vehicle that's over 2,000 cc. And I think you got to tear your, unless you have a lot of money, you got to pay more than $10 million for that vehicle.
Yeah, good.
But I hear what you're saying, though.
Let
I
me
hear,
say
understand
that
what you're saying.
What this government should do, make sure men, women, and children of the Guyana get a piece of land before you invite these people in here. Because when you get one little 60 by 40 house lot, them man they go get one house lot. Them house that they don't go want because they can't even build the house. The house can't open there.
Uh-huh.
That's only for the veranda. You get what I'm saying?
No, of course. I hear what you're saying there.
They want a whole acre land.
But I said it a couple of days back, and let me tell you this. If you believe situation is bad right now, look at another couple of years now. If you don't put a handle on this situation, if you don't put control mechanisms and all the necessary measures, you're not going to recognize Georgetown already. Take a walk. Don't take my word for it, Take a walk on Regent Street. Take a walk on Rob Street. I'm living in Diamond there. And I can't recognize Diamond there because all the coconut stands, Venezuelans.
Yeah.
The food stands that are there that if you want to buy a little barbecue chicken or whatever it is, foreigners.
Yes.
Everything. You go down all the supermarkets, the people are bilingual. Everybody's speaking a different language. And they look like Guyanese, but they're there, they're just there. I'm not saying that we should stop them, but we need to put control mechanisms that, one, we know who is in the country, and two, we should be able to put some kind of, if you're able to know who's in the country, you could be able to have some controls there. And so there's things that has to do with work permits. It allows you, and I'm going to talk about that in a very short while about work permits. But I think you get the point what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get the point. But one me try to tell you that what Mr. Lar was saying, that we have nothing to get. Because that percentage where we get in is not nothing. That's like the crumbs of a bread then.
Compared to what we should get.
Yeah.
I hear
Compared to
you.
what we should get.
But I hear what you're saying there, man. And yes, these things here, it bothers us. It should bother all of Guyana as we move forward in this country. It is like, and let me tell you what you're saying there. It is like if you have a big minibus that is running and everybody making $40,000, but a man come and give you, and he says you're making $10,000. Why should you make $10,000 on an investment when you know everybody's making $40,000? And that is the easiest point that I could probably draw parallel to you.
Yeah.
Over to you back, man. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but what me try to say, if you and me going to catch fish, and you keep the fish, and we get 300 asa. And when the parting time come now, I give you 1%. I give you 3 asa for the 300. You think you'll go back with me?
Well, that's the whole point, isn't it? But I hear what you're saying, my brother. Thank you very much.
But
Very good
the
points.
point is that the government, them who made this agreement, I don't know who really, but whoever really made this agreement, a person who don't know for read and write might have made a better agreement than that in words, because he know for write.
I hear you. Thank you very much there, my brother.
Thank you, my
very
brother.
much.
All the best. You take care.
You too. Bye bye. And so, people are starting to raise concerns. People are getting a little more aware of what is happening in this country. There's nothing wrong with that. You should know what is happening. You're a stakeholder. You're a citizen in this country. You are a shareholder at the end of the day. Everything that happens, you're supposed to benefit from, whether it's the monies that is coming from your gold, your bauxite, your forests, whatever it is. It gives you a better road, it gives you infrastructure, it gives you better police to protect, it gives you pension, it gives you so many other things. That is if you're collecting the money, you're collecting the right money. And if you're not collecting the money, then who do you blame? You blame yourself, because you're the ones that put the people there. CARICOM General Insurance Company. Don't worry, drive happy. Switch your insurance today and save big. Feel secure using CARICOM General Insurance Company, Inc. at 121 Regent and Arnock Streets. To better serve you, you can now purchase your insurance online from the comfort of your home. Telephone 225-1787 or 269-0020. CARICOM General Insurance Company, Inc. Do we happen to have Yog? We'll stand by for Yog. I hope that he comes on. He did text me and said that he's going to come on. In the meantime, we are going to bring some messages to our people. Good afternoon, sir. School Street and 2nd Avenue in La Parfait, Harmony is getting really bad, and the light at the Four Corner not working for a long time, which is not far from the police station. Finally, too much robbery taking place in the area, especially by the 2nd Avenue. Thank you very much. I don't know, Parfait has always been such a touchy place. It's a big area. I lived there for a little while, and there's extensions and extensions, and the extensions, what you would have seen, people start living. Yes, you put in water, you put in electricity, but because of how fast it was extending, they were not able to do the road. So the situation is that many roads are still left undone. The ones that have been done, potholes have started forming. A couple of years back, I got into trouble with a contractor because as they were doing the road, they blocked me from for driving, from getting in. They saw me come in and then blocked me from driving, and they allowed other people. But when you saw the kind of work that they were doing on the road there, and it's a contractor too that is doing work on the Sheriff Street. The road started breaking up a couple morning, and so that is the story. Almost every community, the government do roads couple morning because of poor work, poor monitoring, poor supervising. The roads are gone there after a little while. So this is a story of Guyana. The people not doing the work, contractors giving us a 6 for 9. We have to live with it, because who do you complain to? Until now, that is. You start complaining to the Wake Up Guyana show here on Kaieteur Radio. Let me see here what the people are saying. Hi, Leonard. Good afternoon. I have a little Samir about who's going to the Valmiki school at Luzuknan, and his teacher has been scratching up on his paper because he's showing his work. And sir, the miss and the name the person here has been doubting my brother's ability to do his schoolwork, and every time my mother goes to the school, she come back with numerous amount of complaints. This is overbearing now. I have sent pictures of his work below. When my little brother got his paper back today, he started to cry, so I'm asking you for a little advice on the matter. And another thing, so we living on Good Hope Line Top, and we haven't been getting water for the 4 weeks. It comes at 8 in the night and cuts off at 8 in the morning. Could you also please assist me? It only lasted 3 hours and cut back off at 8 o'clock in the morning. We get water at least 1 hour, and that's it for the day. I'm going to send this right away to the ministers as well. Thank you very much. I did start working on that. Hi, Leonard. Allahu Akbar. The sad that the judicial system in my lovely Guyana and the Western world, Africa, Red China and Middle East is a total failure with all these kangaroo courts. Only poor people go to jail. The system is stacked against those who are penniless, coupled with racism. Our colored folks are getting shot in the street by the police, an arm of the government all over the world. The legislative branch of Guyana needs to examine and overhaul themselves. Not only the police is corrupted, but the lawyers, judges, and prosecutors, etc. It is known as the devil takes the high most. I love my country, but we must speak out against those atrocities which amongst apartheid among our poor people and Afro brothers. Thank you very much, our Indian and Afro brothers. Thank you very much for that. Dear Mr. Gildarie, Robert Prasad merely bridged the gap between investors to the Kaieteur bloc and the then president. This action is considered to be questionable. Knowing this, the president and his vice sanctioned the appointment of Mr. Prasad to the Foreign Affairs Ministry. I smell a rat here. Is he positioned to bridge the gap between foreign investors and the gentleman mentioned here? It reeks of self-interest despite all the sacred promises. Any poll will show 70% of the people mistrust Mr. Prasad. He has to go. Do we have a call online? Good afternoon, caller. You on the air. Go right ahead. Yes, good afternoon, caller. You on the air at Kaieteur Radio here. Hello? Yes, good afternoon. You on the air. Go right ahead.
Mr. Leonard, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How you doing? You sound very happy.
My name is Salome.
Tonovi?
I got for the government.
Okay. What is it that?
Do good.
Okay. What is it that I can help you with today?
Nothing, we thank God.
Oh, you want to thank God? So you're happy to
So
be.
we get a new president.
Oh, you thank God that you have a new president. All right.
Yes.
And why are you thanking God for that?
Because he's doing good.
He's doing good. I like that. How old are you?
Sam.
You're 7?
Yeah.
Wow, you sound like a 15-year-old, a very mature 15-year-old. I'm very happy to be talking to you. My name is Leonard. You want to come visit me sometime or the other?
Yeah.
All right. I was telling your mama and your dad could come visit me sometime. I would love to see you sometime or the other. Because you sound like a 15-year-old. I like your...
There's a quarantine.
Quarantine? What part in quarantine?
Barbies.
No, I know Barbies is in... I know the quarantine is in Barbies. Huh? But is there a village name?
Clifton.
What's it?
Clifton.
Okay, Clifton. Clifton.
Tane.
Oh, Tane. I know Tane. Tane is a big university of Guyana there. Let me tell you this. I am very happy that you called me today. I'm a very happy person, and I hope that you come see me sometime. And if ever I'm over in Berbice, I'm gonna come visit you. Okay?
My call line, but when I get you.
All right. You keep calling. I'm always happy to hear from you and look forward to hearing from you in the future again. All right?
Maybe I hear you and Dr. Mahadir.
Oh yes, I'm supposed to be seeing him hearing from him in a very short while. He's a very very fun character. You know that?
Sincerely, election time with a fight for government.
All right, I thank you very much for that, my dear. And what's your name?
Salome.
Salome is a beautiful name. Thank you very much, Salome. And I look forward to hearing from you again. And like I said before, I believe that you're a 15-year-old.
Thank you, God bless you.
God bless you too. Is that a wonderful thing? We happen to have a very mature little lady there. And thank you, my dear, all the way from Tane, Berbice, Quarantine Berbice. Beautiful area there, beautiful countryside area there. So in the meantime, let us go back in to see. I'm watching and listening to the program every day. Keep up the good job. Leonard, I love my government. I hope they open their eyes and look at the people who are sitting in the chair comfortable and doing nothing. I would like to know when the government give out $25,000, does the receiver have to show their ID card and sign the names and the ID numbers? We don't have the problem. We don't even have a problem in the bank. Something not right here. Yes, we'd have to look into that. It's a story that I want to tell. The government has not made a statement as yet. I'm trying to get them desperately. Hi, happy Friday, Uncle Len from us kids in Minnesota. Send a Christmas present for that young caller. Thank you very much, dear. I'm looking. I'm in. Okay. Hi, Gildarie. I was listening to your program. I hear a man was talking about the Upper Demerara River farmer. I can tell you that he was talking lies about the Burnham sending people to look after the farmers. That's not true. My father and his two brothers are farmers too. No one ever came here. We're not living not too far from Sandhill. I'm looking at you now. Thank you very much for that. Good afternoon, sir. You give breakdown on the COVID-19 in the country and against genders. We want to know accordingly to the region. Thank you very much. I'm going to try to get those information. Somebody sent a picture. Let me see what that picture is. I'm not sure what this is. It doesn't come out good. Okay. Mr. Leonard, I spoke to you on the topic. Please don't mention my name. Let me see what they're saying here. I'm going to have a look at this here. So do we have another caller online? Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Go right ahead.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How may I help you?
I have a little problem with this money that I'm sharing out, Mr. Gildarie.
Yes. Where is this?
I live in Tushin, but me get the money because when the people come, I don't know when it's come, but only on a Sunday I just be at home.
Right.
And they're not inform me when I come now, but only on a Sunday I just be at home.
Uh-huh.
Right? So me and home will get this money.
Did you try to find out from the NDC or anybody there?
Oh, I have to go to the NDC.
Find out from them when these people come in, because I think, I find it very, very strange that you're heading into an area. Like, let's say this week I want to go to Berbice, and you're coming in and you don't advertise or tell the people. How are the people going to know? Because many people, if for Diamond, for example, there are a lot of single parents. A lot of them are working during the day, and so nobody could tell them. If you pass on the road, if you're in by me, you're living in my house, and you pass on the road, you can't hear anything unless somebody keep blowing or something.
Yes, I understand, Mr. Gildarie.
So it's a problem. But check with your NDC and let them advise you, and I would like for you to update me what goes on there.
Okay, I have one more question, one more thing. Yesterday, right, they went in flood pasture.
Uh-huh.
And some of the houses them I give, if you have two family, them I give them, but like, when we see them, like, them look at face and give this money, because I went by my sister, and they had a next door, he had a black guy, he doesn't live there, right? So this person who I share this money, give them, and they got the other house, so I have two family, and I said I have to pull up the pink farm. This is wrong what they're doing.
Well, there was a story that came out yesterday. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. I'm checking it right now. The policemen, and I have a suspicion what is happening. They go into some places and somebody knows somebody, so they break in their own rules, which is one household or one building is going to get the 25,000, and if there's other people living there, they're going to fill out a pink form. However, you're hearing reports also they go into some properties which have two families and they make an exception and give it to both families.
Yeah.
So it's somebody got to be linked up to somebody or somebody taking something. But yesterday there was a story coming out that policemen who are accompanying the workers who are sharing out the money, they go in a little bit on the side, hey, pass a little thing here, pass a little thing there,
Yeah.
I mean, I look at this and I can't believe that we're still in the 20th, at this point in time,
I know,
2020, and this kind of behavior that we have in.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But I thank you very much. Check with your NDC and please keep me informed what is happening here.
Thank you, Mr. Gildarie. I always listen to since this election, I always listen to your program and enjoying it. Like, if I can't miss this program for a day.
Well, thank you. Well, I can't miss not talking to you guys.
Thank you.
It becomes, it's not a job anymore. I don't get paid for this. God knows. I come here every single day because I really enjoy. I want to do it. And that's a good thing too.
Okay, Mr. Gildarie. God bless you and your family. Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. If a person can't discuss for a cup of water, how can you speak for oil? I'm not sure how. Let me see. If a person can't speak for or discuss for a cup of water, how can you speak for oil? Thank you very much for that. I think. Good afternoon, Leonard and Raj. I send you a picture of what's up in the. It's a tin of sardine that smell up my husband's porch. 6 tins of sardine. All was normal. When he bring it home one night, I was going to take it out. 1 tin swell up, but with the rest, it okay will expire till in 2023. And these are the things that happen from time to time. People buying stuff and it's near expiry or it's not so good. our authorities there, the Food and Drugs Department, would have an increasing role to play in protecting the people, because when people bring in stuff, yes, there's going to be some level of smuggling happening in the country, but a lot of the stuff are coming legally through the borders. Sorry, the ports here, and we're not checking properly, and we should be checking. So, food and drugs, with the increased number of persons in the country right now, from migration and so on, from the oil and gas, you have to ensure that the food and the drugs that come into this country, that they meet the standards, that they meet the necessary checks and balances, and keep it with international standards before we even release it for the people. Hi, Len, I'm the person who texted you yesterday, who rented the house, one living up and down. We just get our $25,000. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for that. I like when you guys keep us posted what's happening. Do we have another call in line there? Yog is on the line. All right. So in the meantime, let's take a call while we're getting ready for Dr. Yog Mahadio. I think he's somewhere there hiding in a room with a dark wall. I can bad talk him in the meantime. Hi, good afternoon, sir. You're on the air. Go right ahead.
Let me tell you something.
Uh-huh.
The police force is corrupted. The NIS is corrupted. The GR is corrupted. Every single thing in this country corrupted. Let me tell you why. It came from the PNC time, from Burnham time, and it is not changing. If you go for a board certificate, you have a problem. You go to the High Court for your land paper, you have a problem. Anywhere you go, you have a problem. It comes on and on. The lady was speaking yesterday, was talking about that pigeon peas and McDowell or black eye and McDowell. She is a nut. I'm telling you, man. We Guyanese, we come from India. Muslim, Hindu all come from India. And we come with a tradition with dal. We get flour, we make prasad, we do this, we do that. And then when she done that, she say, reformers do for the Muslim. What happened with the country? Only the Muslim, because she a Muslim president? I don't know, some people are kind of nuts.
I hear what you're saying.
Nuts.
Thank you very much, my brother.
And I tell you something. When you come on the sugar estate, I am a sugar worker. I get pension 6 years ago. And I can tell you this. There's no Guyanese can run sugar industry. They don't have it up here and ahead. You have to bring people. When Booker did been here, they give 75%, they give. And they used to produce over 300,000 tons sugar when I estate, you know. Then they contract finish, and bring them out for South Africa in a web. That man start produce sugar. When the man contract end, but they say, okay, that guy needs run. These guys let me tell you something. I'm not saying that the North Sea what I'm gonna do is not good. The North Sea what I'm do this type of cane what I'm plant, brother. You get the fiber and you not get the juice.
Yes, because we need to start looking back at our agricultural practices and what we need to do. We need to start looking at different strains.
Let me make a shot to you. When you plow 18 inches. You soak the land for 6 months. The black water, I give the land sweet. People don't. When I used to go with my father, you bury till your knee. And you plant this cane. So by the time the sun hot for the cane start germinate, you don't make it root.
I hear what you're saying.
And the type of cane, canal people got a cane and they make more sugar than this.
We need to start changing it up very quickly. So thank you very much there, my brother. Where you calling from?
I call him and say, man, he's a regular caller. And
yes.
Listen to the program, man.
Thank you very much, dear. We welcome in Dr. Yog Mahadio. And keep on listening, okay? Thank you. God bless. Yes, sir. Good, bye-bye. So this afternoon, I want to say thank you very much to that caller all across the west coast of Demerara there. West Side, how are you guys doing? And of course, I want to say good day to Dr. Yog Mahadio, all looking nice and dandy with his outfit down there. Yog, I was trying to grow the beard and it's coming out pointy. Is there anything that you should be advising Gildarie what to do?
No, my friend. we have reached a stage in this country where once again people don't take advice. So I have no advice to give you.
All right, let me hear who you've been advising. I'm asking you 100 days. What are you thinking? I think we did raise this issue again. We raised this issue last week. Moving forward, yesterday we would have seen the visit of the Dubai official, a sheikh, coming to Guyana in his private jet. We're very attractive people right now. This country is a very attractive person. I want to hear your thoughts on this, sir.
It's always interesting to see the international, especially the large countries who've been there, done that, to see them pay attention, pay heed to Guyana. Obviously, Guyana has the most to offer at this stage, Leonard. Obviously, Guyana has the most to offer in terms of its lands, its oil, its wealth, everything. The issue I have, not issue per se, but the mature thinking would guide us to say that if we are not careful with how we allow others to run our business, we will have no business left. To that point, Leonard, I want to tell you the following. A week ago, the US ambassador made a statement that the Fortune 500 companies are interested in Guyana. Good news, very great news. We all know that companies all over the world are now looking to Guyana, place to be, place to invest. However, Leonard, when I cannot help but be a little bit, reticent here now. The issue I have is all of these companies are going to come to Guyana and we are open for business, which is good. But the same facilities, the benefits, the tax breaks, the everything that is being extended to them, why not pick the top 500 companies in Guyana and give them the same? Mm-hmm. Why not pick the companies who have stood here during all the hard times, stayed here, played their role in building an economy? Look, the budget of Guyana, the national budget before oil, who was funding it? Taxes. Taxes fund our budget. The shortfall in the taxes is being funded by external debts. Now, these companies that would have invested in Guyana all of these years, they ought to be looked at in some good way, Leonard, because they have been providing the employment to our Guyanese brothers and sisters. But nothing is being said. In fact, the current budget continues to bleed the employees and employers of this country. No, I'm not saying that the government is wrong here. I'm saying the government needs to probably prioritize local businesses to ensure that we, you, and everybody can get the same kind of thing. Leonard, many years ago when they wanted to start the industrial site, what did they do? They allowed local companies to be given certain incentives to go and occupy spots on those sites. From then to now, those sites, the spots on those sites might have turned a few times over in terms of changed hands. And I'm going to encourage you to read what Bud Suknanan has said about your beard, and I'm not going to say anything more. But Leonard, back to the serious topic. So there are a few things in this country that needs careful assessment. The governments, various governments of Guyana has always been, overawed with foreign power and overawed with foreign influence and overawed with foreigners, that we many times fail to realize what is happening locally. There is another problem, Leonard. Sorry to take so much of your time, but there is another problem. And I want to quickly jump over to the education sector. Recently, we saw news that that UWI will be training persons here and stuff like that. Now, on one hand, I have no problem. I would like to see Guyana support UWI and grow. In fact, I'd like to see Guyana having a stronger degree of decision-making in UWI. However, that must not take away the University of Guyana. The problem you have is University of Guyana, being what it is, has always been the political football of various governments. It is an inept, racist, backward institution that needs an overhaul. And it must be overhauled by having open policy where government intervention and government interference is concerned. So, Leonard, on one hand, while you're going to welcome Fortune 500 companies to come, you have to look at how can we build a Fortune 500 of Guyanese people, Guyanese businesses. On the other hand, while you're welcoming and helping UWI, how can we revamp, revolutionize the University of Guyana? The way to do it is to ensure government doesn't have a foothold in the university, because that's going nowhere fast.
Well, I had a look at that story with the UE thing, and it was interesting for me because today also, and I'm going to draw parallel to this, I think it was a former public service minister, Saraba Haley. There's a statement that is coming out there, why UE? And I think there's a lot of anger even within some of the people that are teaching at UG, people are lecturing at UG, because they're saying, I thought that if you want to bring in UE, it's a good thing. But is it going to be a collaboration with, I see a model that where it could be UG, while some people are thinking, you build capacity at UG and then maybe that could happen. But if you marry UE and UG, this is how I'm thinking. If it does not happen that you bring in UE into the country and there's another facility that's going to be here, I'm not sure how that's going to work. But what you've raised here, it's a very good issue to discuss.
Yeah, Leonard, look, let me say this. I support the government of Guyana bargaining to have more say in a regional education institution. I support that. I support us having a greater, better voice in CARICOM, in UWI, in all of the regional units and groups. But you are right as well. And we both said it, University of Guyana has to be looked at and looked at urgently. I would like an independent review be done of University of Guyana. Time to close the door on some of the political appointees who have been chasing that, riding or driving that desk for dozens of years in University of Guyana and makes it a political sham. My point is that we are going to have a problem sooner or later, because after people graduate from University of Guyana, then what? That's where our investment in UE can turn up, so that it's even a higher degree. So UE offers doctorate degrees. UE offers a lot of various things. So University of Guyana can be tiered. However, I repeat, University of Guyana really needs to be revolutionized. All the nonsense that's been going on over the years, their massive budgets, every child, every student that attends UG pays a facilities fee. They don't even have a proper library. They don't have a proper facilities, yet you're paying all of this money. Has to be different, and the difference has to start now.
Well, I kind of like the fact that there's a lot of anger from the UG people, some of the lecturers there, because their status quo is being questioned here. And I think I think we haven't seen the model that they're going to use, as whether they're going to bring that UE is going to set up not a headquarter, but a location in Guyana, whether it's going to be at UG, whether it's going to be somewhere else, because I rather suspect you don't want to be outside UG. What you have is an entire area there that could probably be built, marrying of two things, and then you're right when you talk about maybe you have different tiers, and then you could have the people attending UG, but it's part of UE and there's a sharing. But you're right, because too long we have allowed UG to be used as a political football, one after the other, and we need to start having the talks to lift our standards. I think one of the points that Saraba Haley in our letter in the Kaieteur today would have spoken about was when we are looking at 20,000 persons to be trained or to receive training at UE, have we done an assessment to determine in which areas are we going to be training these people and where they're going to go? Because you can't just call figures out of the air just like that. You have to determine where they're going to go. Is it going to be in agriculture? Is it going to be in the oil and gas field, the oil and gas sector there? So I think you're right. This is a topic that would have to be discussed, fleshed out, and I presume it is going to be, we're going to see where it goes from here. It is not.
And Leonard, it is something that we'll see developing. Look, I mean, the president and the government of Guyana, they're right. As I said, I repeat again, they're right to start to negotiate with all these regional institutions to play greater role in them. And to Mr. Vigi Debidin, we're not talking about you, sir. So why are you offended?
Thank you very much, there, Yogi. Look, but it is, look, we are at the point in time, and let me put this in perspective. We are at a point in time where there's going to be a lot of people knocking on the doors. Not everybody that knock is going to be a good, how you say it, a good person or a good company that you're going to want to invite into this country. We're sitting right now with a company that is ripe for investment, and the company is Guyana. If you're going to allow persons, they would have to come with either some kind of strategic knowledge, skill set, or the resources, whether it's the finances or otherwise. And so what we saying, all we just saying here, in all these opportunities that's going to be coming, because everybody's coming to Guyana, be very careful, tread carefully, think strategically as you move forward. I think that's all we say in there, Yog.
Correct. And Leonard, don't forget that even though, I mean, for those persons, former ministers and whoever that has criticized the government's handshake, outreach to University of West Indies, don't forget you got a host of universities and so-called universities in Guyana. You know, you look at the number of institutions giving people master's degree and bachelor's degree and doctorate degrees. So you have a number of institutions in Guyana that would claim that they are already here, and they should not criticize the government for wanting to just deliberate and encourage and be engaged with the university. I encourage it. The other point that I want to quickly say in passing where education is concerned, or where this higher level of education is concerned, is that accreditation. Accreditation is important.
Mm-hmm.
We have to realize, Guyanese have to start getting to the stage where when we take a University of Guyana degree, we got to know what we can do with it. If you're going to the US, whether it's of any use to you at all, if you're going to Europe, if you're going to the Caribbean, any of the Caribbean countries, whether, you know, so you got to know the degree you're pursuing, what accreditation that educational institution has earned or garnered. Don't invest your money in just getting a paper certification. It's better you take that same money and invest it in getting a skill rather than a paper certification that can not be used anywhere, Leonard.
I agree with that. I see a lot of people walking around. I have an MBA, and I said I'm sorry, I don't even have. I barely finished high school, and when you put them to do certain jobs or thing, then you realize, hey man, I'm not sure how the heck you got this MBA, and what is it that you're gonna do with it? But it's definitely not in this company here. I want to touch base on something that was raised, Yog, and it's gonna lead to another debate. The opening of school, right on but now, I'm looking at the front page of Kaieteur newspaper here today. Over 30 dorm students test positive for COVID-19 since reopening of schools. What is a good model? What are you thinking with regards to our reopening of school? Good model. How do we deal with the situation, this elephant in the room when it comes to education in the pandemic state? I want to hear from you.
Leonard, my take is that the government has shown the propensity to be cautiously optimistic where education is concerned. I am hoping that my 6-year-old boy can get back to school quickly because, look, learning at home is all well and good, but they're missing out on the social aspects and that part of building of life. So that aside, though, The government, I know, I mean, what I do know, speaking to a number of persons, I haven't been in communication with the minister for a long time, but speaking with a number of persons, I know that they're being cautiously optimistic. They're hoping, yet they're saying that if things doesn't go the way they want, they're going to, pull back. But Leonard, on the wider scale, we know that the vaccine is now, Moderna is just one of the vaccines. We know the Indian version of the vaccine will soon be mass produced. We know Europeans working on something. So a lot of vaccines, good news, being tested rapidly and with increasing stuff. So we gotta be prepared that sooner or later, in a year time, let us say, we should be not back to normal. A new normal will be established.
I think so. It's a new normal, right?
Yeah. What that new normal will be will have to be defined by the policymakers. And this is where I like the fact that the government is being cautiously optimistic. We have seen the private sector demand that we want a reopening of the economy, or else people are going to starve. People are just going to start, there are going to be problems. The health sector is facing a serious challenge, and this is not just in Guyana, all over the world. Coming back to your question, though, I like the fact that the minister is being cautious but optimistic about health. We need to get there, and we need to get there quickly. Schools are the worry. Mm-hmm. The government can set policies, Leonard. Whether the schools will enforce that policies is of great concern to a lot of parents. You see, Leonard, there are a lot of things that we got to think of. While your son, you have two beautiful children. While they're home, I think it's two, right? Or at least two that the public knows about. While your children are at home and they are being homeschooled, it also calls on a lot of other resources to be used up. And I'm not being selfish or whatever. I'm just saying it as it is. Whereas you and your wife would have been working before or would have been engaged in getting certain things done before, now that has changed. That has had to change because you had to reshape your home. You had to reshape the way you run your home, the way you work from home. So that adjustment was made by almost every home in this world, all over, every country. The new norm will see a further adjustment to that. Mm-hmm. But the new norm will also see children starting to think or starting to realize, hey, this old thing about us just being blasé and just being carefree about life, this 2019-2020 virus has taught us a serious lesson. Leonard, my concern is whether Guyana will be able to enforce following of protocols within the schools. You have seen what the Chinese schools are doing, right? The Chinese schools have reopened. Mm-hmm. But the policy and the enforcement of those policies are rigid. Will we be able to do that in Guyana?
Well, it is a good question and some very good issues that we'd have to be raising to be discussing as we go forward. Because Yog, I like what you're saying there in terms of the new norm. I think I listened to Priya Manikchan when she would have spoken, when she says, look, there's no one shoe that fits all size. I think that's what she would have said. That we can't find a model that's going to fit all Guyana. It has to be a hybrid system that we're trying. And I think in essence, while they're not saying it, the inference is that we are experimenting right now because we don't have all the answers. Pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic is something that has taken this world by surprise, has shocked the world, that has basically destroyed economies. You look at across the Caribbean right now, all those small islands that depend on tourism. Barbados, I would tell you, is going to be devastated. Places like St. Martin, Antigua, and all those other places, St. Kitts. Big knock-on effects because of this pandemic and what it would have done. People not going, so how are you going to make money? We're not even talking about what is going to happen. And there's some conversation right now within CARICOM and the rest of the donor organizations as to how they could recover from COVID-19. But you're right. I'm not doing anything sitting on our hands, not reopening school, maybe in a modified format and in a new norm. This is a big challenge for the government going forward. And right about now, also, you talk about the health situation and what's happening there, Yog. It is manifesting itself. A lot of people, I've been receiving messages at the expense of COVID-19 and all the resources that is being plugged into it. Other areas are being shorted. So it's a big issue that we'd have to deal with going forward. How does a country that has
Correct.
almost the same resources put
And
money into
Leonard,
another
don't
resource?
don't forget that the last, let's say it as it is, the last set of persons who squatted in office for a year and 5 months after elections, they did nothing, not even baseline testing for COVID-19. So I don't envy the work Frank Anthony, the challenges Frank Anthony is facing. I don't envy, the challenge Priya Manichan is facing. These people are facing some zero, some minus zero kind of situation where absolutely nothing was done, and they have to now start from bottom, from below zero to reset, to hit the reset button on every aspect. Look, we are seeing all kinds of things, Leonard, and I just want to quickly mention this because last week I did promise to. These land giveaways, these people have no shame to be stealing Guyanese lands to that extent. And how much they resell a lease for? $100 just so that they could get the money. Leonard, this is why these people stayed in office and was encouraging David Granger, that David Granger, no matter what, look after your people, ignore the election and let me stay in office. Because of this, Leonard, they didn't want these things to be exposed. My fear, my deep set fear, Leonard, we have seen what the pre-2015 politicians were capable of doing, some of them. We have seen what some of the pre-2020 politicians were capable of doing, and I'm not seeing any institutions of respect that can challenge politicians going to the future. Leonard, governments have this thing that they're doing things in secrecy. All of these land and all of these things are being done in secrecy. There is not, we don't have a transparency policy in Guyana, so that, you know what, if Leonard forms a company, I'm just using your name, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm just using Leonard's name. There is no likelihood or anything here, remote possibility of this. This is just an example. Look, if Leonard creates a company that is called Josh and Kevin Inc., and he is the 100% shareholder, and he gives Josh 1 share, and Josh creates another company that is called Yog Inc., and Josh owns 100% of that, and then later on he sells 1 share to Yog, and Yog goes and buys a land. I have 1 share. Josh owns 99. And then Leonard owns 99% of Josh. Leonard is the beneficial owner.
That's correct.
But he is hidden behind 3 layers. So as long as we have this situation where things are going to continue like this, what you would find happening, the official gazette is going to publish the 3rd and 4th layer down persons who have bought the lands. The real crooks continue to hide behind a Trump-like wall that nobody will see. Leonard, we need to have in this country governance watchdog groups set up quickly so that we can expose politicians. I really don't care who they are. I care that our sons and daughters must have something left for them in the future, because the way we are going, former ministers of natural resources and former ministers of this and former ministers of that, they're well set.
Mm-hmm.
But what can I promise? What can you promise your grandchildren?
But that's the whole point, Yoga, and that's what we've been talking about. Why do we, every single day I sit on this program here, 5 days a week, and all I'm just saying, start building your capacity, start educating yourself, start making yourself aware, because you're gonna get up one morning, and right about now people complaining a little thing about $25,000 and so many other things that's before them. But what are you thinking about what you're leaving for your children? Sitting down, not saying anything is not an option for us. We have 9 billion barrels out there of oil and oil equivalent that we could exploit, that is worth billions of dollars. And not having access to that, not benefiting from that, is not an option. You need to wake up. So, Yog, I understand what you're saying there, and I thank you very much for that. There is one other thing that I want to bring to you. You talk about an organization that needs a watchdog body. This is the second time that I'm hearing that has been surfacing, and I think other areas people have been calling for something like this. So, do you believe that Guyana is ready for that?
It is more than ready. With all the massive sheer corruption that's been going on from 1966 to now, we are beyond 50 years of being ready. Leonard, look, let us open our history books. Let us go back to when Burnham nationalized some industries. What transpired with those deals? Let us go back to remember the GPL barge?
Yeah, I remember that.
The man became the chairman of PNC, right? Let us go back to some of them things. Corruption has been festering in public service and in various governments of Guyana from the inception. And successive generations of politicians have mastered the art of covering up. So the saddest thing for Guyana, Leonard, the saddest thing that has happened to Guyana is when AFC became the poodle of PPP. That's one. Two, when the Transparency International and the Human Rights Association and wherever else they name, they just became blind, deaf, and dumb to the real issues just because they were inundated by politicians from one side or the other side of the fence. Three, when private sector bodies are going to be sleeping in bed with various groups of politicians, then that is another. And then the last one is police. Leonard, is this the same police group, police force, that gave that report to the chairman of GCOM? Is there any? I've seen all the court cases being filed against Vola Lawrence et al. What action is being filed on that matter when the public knows that the police, likelihood is that the police could have fabricated some of the names there?
Mm-hmm.
What action is being taken? I tell you, I want my Guyanese brothers and sisters to rise up and let us march into the Police Complaints Authority, and let us march into the Ombudsman, and let us march into various places and start calling for action. Unless we, the people, can force our police people to be good. I mean, look, you got some real good men and women in the police force. I'm really proud of a lot of them, But a few of them, we got to identify them and get rid of them. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to get rid of police bribery so long as you decide you prefer to pay a bribe to get out of a speeding ticket. The moment you decide you want to do that as a citizen of Guyana, you are part of the problem. So we all got to realize what we want. Do we want a clean system or we want a rotten system? You can't say no against corruption and you're aiding and abetting it on one hand. So Leonard, these are the educational discussion, the kind of debates we need to have on a more open basis and more consistent basis.
I thank you very much for that, and as always, calling it as he sees it, and of course being very frank, although he is on the other side. And when I say on the other side, how is the Guyana Chronicle going there, my brother?
I don't know, I am just the chairman of the I am just the
I had to poke that in, man. You know that.
I am just the chairman of the board. I don't micromanage.
Okay.
I said that very clearly. So what I can tell you, though, we had a board meeting 3 days ago.
Uh-huh.
And I can tell you this. I am proud to say this publicly. we took over a company that was in debt.
Uh-huh.
We took over a company that was struggling to make ends meet, to meet its obligations on a day-by-day basis. And in a matter of a couple of months, I think I'm going to leave it for the minister to make that public disclosure, but we are turning things around and turning things around rapidly. And I must say, I'm proud of the boys and girls there, the ladies and gentlemen there, the editorial context and stuff has changed, and has changed rapidly. And one thing I'll tell you, I've been chairman of the board since a couple months now. I have not received a single call from any politician for anything. So it seems like the politicians have decided, let it run, let it be. And you know, we are revolutionizing it, Leonard, and stepping up to the plate.
Thank you very much, dear Dr. Yog Mahadi. As always, such a pleasure talking to him. He is he's a straight shooter, and you know, when he comes out, it's on various things, have a good insight on things in Guyana, a different perspective. I don't have to agree with him that the Guyana Chronicle is going to become the #1 newspaper. What I could tell him that he is nipping at our heels from across the ocean there, because they're not close to the Kaieteur newspaper, the favorite newspaper of Guyana. And I was told to say that by Glendale. And in case you, it's a pleasure talking to you today. Unfortunately, like last week, we haven't been able to take so many callers. We have not been able to read all the messages, but I'm definitely going to go through them, and we are going to be addressing them going forward, because this is the Wake Up Guyana show. York, thank you very much. Is there any other thing you want to say to the people of Guyana? Because definitely next week you got to be a little more early. We got to make this a regular date on Friday.
Well, Leonard, I was on a call just before joining you, and it was for a massive development of infrastructural works with investors having an eye on Guyana. So it was all interesting stuff. Maybe at a later date, I'll be able to share some information. But I'm really glad. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say this quickly in passing. I'm hyped up. I'm pumped up with what we can do for Guyana. But we all got to continue to be very pragmatic. Don't feel, let us not drop asleep at the wheel. Let us continue to be vigilant for our rights and for the rights of our children. I know that every government of Guyana thinks that they mean well, but doing well and meaning well are two different things. And it is up to you and I to ensure that we can get what is best for our families. That being said, Leonard, I want to remind everybody to be safe and stay away from the temptations that might cause us to break the law.
Thank you very much, dear Yog, and some good, solid advice. And of course, we are also going to be telling you to make sure that you continue to protect yourself, wear your mask, make sure that you sanitize. We can't stop telling you that. Stay away from the big crowds and the parties and the backyard parties and things that WR Riaz is so accustomed to be breaking the laws and whatever it is that he's doing. But he's here in the studio, so I'm not talking behind his back. But wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing today, thank you for tuning into the Wake Up Guyana show here on Kaieteur Radio. We coming to you live from our studio, and if you would have missed it, you could get it back here on the Kaieteur Radio on Facebook, Kaieteur Radio live stream on YouTube. I want to say thank you very much, Dr. Yog Mahadio. Let us continue our talks about maybe a good WhatsApp group. It's not a government thing. It's make sure that we make comments from time to time on issues that affect Guyana, all for the betterment of building our capacity, improving our system, strengthening our system, so that Guyana could become better than Dubai, not like Dubai, but better than Dubai and Singapore and the Malaysia and even China and India and the rest of the place that everybody is looking up to, because we have the capacity, we have the people, and more importantly, it's very early in the game and we have the will. Thank you very much, folks. Until we meet again on Monday.
Did you know that there's no greater loudspeaker than radio?
Air your Christmas promotion on Kaieteur Radio and see major returns. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-7455 for our advertising rates and packages. Season's greetings from Kaieteur Radio.